During the first discussion, we'll delve into the details of what it's like to build a startup from scratch, and we'll invite 3 startup founders to share their experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And starting off with the topic of the discussion, the reality of launching a business, startup founder stories. As first, I'm inviting to the stage the moderator of the discussion, Anna Andersson from Riga Tech Girls. Welcome, Anna.
Should I take a seat already?
Yes.
Okay.
Please do take a seat. And following up, joining the 3 startup founders, Jānis Volbergs from ZoomCharts, Sigvards Krongorns from Castprint, and Marina Petrakova from VReach. Welcome.
Welcome, guys and girl. Good to see you here. So we're here to talk about startups. And as Lena said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want to start off by asking you, Janis. So I read in an interview that you did last year that you thought here in Latvia we are not allowing ourselves to dream big, and kind of that is one of the biggest problems. And maybe you have some advice or inspiration words for the youth here, how to kind of overcome this, how to dream big, how to go big.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for this interesting question that you just posed. And how we came to this conclusion that people don't dream enough is because we hire a lot of people, we go through a lot of interviews, and often we ask, what are your goals for next 3 to 5 years? And very often we hear that those that have literally no goals or goals are very, very moderate. And that brings me to the question, why is it like that? And clearly, it's the economical situation around us. It's just the way how we've been taught. That's most likely to explain why the people don't allow them to dream themselves. But my recommendation would be, you can change that today. As of today, you can first set your new goals. You can say to yourself, everything is possible, and think about your life from that perspective. And you'll be surprised to what decisions you'll then arrive to. Because as soon as you allow yourself to dream, doors will open.
Okay, thanks. But if we're talking about dreams here, what about your own startup path? Has it been a dream all the way, or maybe a nightmare at some point?
Well, I mean, the dream is kind of the driver to go forward through the difficulties, not to stop, because if you believe in your dreams, you'll be able to overcome various obstacles and difficulties, therefore. So, and if you don't have that dream or big motivator in your life, if you'll face difficulties, and with startups, there's more difficulties than non-difficulty moments, you really need these dreams to carry through to get there and to achieve your goals.
All right, thank you. Now I want to welcome Marina Petrakova here today. And I'm very happy that you're here, and what you're building with VReach, and how you're combining technology and healthcare industry together. And I know that you're also developing the healthcare industry technology-wise as well. So kudos for that, and very happy to have you here. But I have a question for you. So. How did this kind of your interest in technology come up? How did your innovation start?
Hello everyone. I hope that my tale is not going to be very long, because it's not like started from one step. It's not like one point which leads you to some solutions like, hey, good morning, I need latte and startup. It's not working like that. But sometimes if you understand your values, you understand the values of industry where you work, and you want to do your job better, you try to find solution, maybe sometimes not so ordinary and not so, let's say, straight. So you are trying to understand how you can innovate and use different technologies. In my case, I came from medical background, and I was working with different patients, and I was keen how I can build apps, how I can have data which I need, and I understood that there is no one who can help me with this, and I have the best person and developer with me, and actually it's me, because only I know what I need for my job. So, of course, it wasn't true, because I started to code, I started to do all other things, and understood that I don't want to do this. I don't really like this, but I like build the products and actually make some greatest changes for my patients. And then I understood that I have to work not only on startup, but only for product. So basically, a lot of different technologies were interesting, but you have to choose the one thing which you can use with some additional value.
So kind of you went through the process of doing everything on your own and then growing a team around it. But how did you come to this understanding that you can do so much more for children if you involve technology in your work?
Well, it's very typical in Latvia. Then if you are working in the field of medical rehabilitation, you do have diverse and very different patients, and you want to deliver them therapy which is effective, fast, measurable, and pleasant, not only for your patient, but also for you. So basically, I started to just tackling to making some apps for myself, for my job. Then I made different apps connected to augmented reality and was using also for different purposes. But then I found one thing which is actually helping for different purposes, and that's how I started to develop solution. It wasn't like I was going on the street and looking for developers. It's not working like this. But if you are in the industry and you go to the hackathons, to different workshops, you more or less understand where you can find great people, not only developers, because skills is the second thing. First thing is people who are on the same yellow and logical path as you. Entrepreneurship mindset, I believe it's about passion, it's about adrenaline, and this is a very certain type of people. So you find them. If you look around, you can find them everywhere, but mostly they're focusing in entrepreneurship and hackathons. So let's go to the hackathons.
Thank you. Promotion for hackathons, everybody. All right. Sigvard, you and Marina, you're both in the healthcare sector with your startups, and I have a question for both of you. Maybe you can start, and then Marina can kind of add to that as well. So, healthcare industry, I would say, is kind of has the stereotype that it's quite stagnant and not very open to innovation. What is your experience here? Is it harder to develop new technologies and innovation in this field? Do you think it would be similar in a different field or very different in a different field? How can you describe the environment of innovation in healthcare in Latvia?
So thanks for the question, and hey everyone. So I would say, and I actually asked you beforehand, so before this conference day, so the honest, truthful answer is that it is very difficult, and it's not a stereotype, but it's actually true, that healthcare is stagnating, unfortunately, and that basically, if you look at comparing healthcare with other different industries, healthcare is like, okay, don't want to exaggerate, but let's say 20, 30 years behind in some areas particularly, and I'd say in other areas they're, let's say, maybe 5 years behind, maybe in some small part of the areas they're maybe like in line with them, let's say digital health and that sort of stuff. But in other areas I would say, 50 years, 30 years, and so forth and so on. Now, obviously, there are reasons for that, and because one thing is I usually say, it's one thing if you mess up, let's say, an app and for a, let's say, marketing tool and something like that, and it's, let's say, somebody is disappointed, whatever. But if you mess up, let's say, a fractured arm and you put it in the not in the correct position, obviously people get hurt. So there are reasons why there are these procedures in place, these regulations and so forth. But obviously, going from a startup perspective, I would say definitely there's so much area for improvement.
Thanks. Marina, what is your experience with this?
My experience is very similar, and I would say that when you are innovating innovative innovation in the field which actually doesn't exist, this is one thing. If you would like to invent some innovation into market which exists, it's the second thing. If I'm right, we both with Sigvards have initially no market for this, like we have to build this market. So I believe that if you understand clearly your customer, you understand clearly the user, it's half of success. But the second half is the person who is leading healthcare. So basically managing different departments, managing people. And this is the field of improvement, in my opinion, number one, because you can't innovate, you can't really communicate the value, not to users and not to patients, but to people who needs to operate with different solutions, have to assess, have to think about ethics of innovation. Because one thing, when you bring new product to doctors, they are extremely excited, most of them, if you correctly understand for who you do. But basically, when thing goes to how we can manage this innovation into our clinical set, then it starts troubles. And troubles are connected not to innovation itself, but to HR things and managing things.
Mm-hmm. So just to be, for everyone to be clear, when you talk about innovation in innovative product in an innovative field, we're talking about virtual reality for child development, which is a very, very new field here.
Yes, actually we built virtual reality tool made consisting from VR app for healthcare professionals to conduct rehabilitation in virtual reality to various specific targeted groups to children with different disorders, starting from autism to language disorders. So spectrum is huge, and opportunities also are huge, and challenges are also huge.
All right. Sigvard, back to you. So you work in healthcare and in 3D printing. Which came first? Was it 3D first or healthcare first?
So I actually thought about this question beforehand, and I think in a way that in the end it was the broken bone. Because, and not that 3D printing, even though at that time I was passionate about 3D printing itself, I was interested in learning about it and so forth and so on. But as the story goes, as the legend says, is that, so me and my co-founder, Janis, so we were in the summer of my parents' house, and basically we discussed various injuries, experiences, and so forth and so on. And in that one single moment, Janis said, hey, why not print a cast? And so then afterwards, your typical Google research, we looked at it, understood that it's nothing unique. So there are, I think, about 3 million hits of beautiful images, right? And later on, basically what happened is that, and this is the most crucial part actually, is that when you do your Google research, do not discourage by the findings that somebody's already doing that. Because what we actually did is reached out to those couple of them, and what we found out that actually those were typically either design projects or prototypes or basically not available in the market. So instead of thinking that we are late to the party, actually we thought, okay, so there's an area where we can actually exceed.
They're actually party starters.
Yeah, so to speak.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about money, okay? Maybe let's have Jānis start first, since you were the last to speak at the moment. What is your experience with finding investors, and do you have any advice for the new upcoming entrepreneurs who are listening?
Yeah, totally. So what is very important is start to think about the business model from day zero, because at the end of the day, if you are going the route with investment raising, you need to understand how the valuation of your company will be kind of built upon. What are the main drivers of that? And then put that into your business model, not to realize that too late, because there are companies that think that they can build a product and then every investor on the wall will be ready just to throw money at them. But sadly, it's not the truth. They'll ask, what's your ARR, what's your churn rate, LTV, and all these metrics. So my suggestion is, yes, get some seed, get your idea out, but start to think about the business model from day zero, really. You'll then be happy that you did so. Otherwise, you might have some troubles along the road.
And is it kind of valuable to try to calculate something on the day zero when you don't know anything? Or?
Well, it's at least good to have this habit of having numbers at hand, having Excels, having BI. The sooner you start to work with data, the more likely is that you'll see opportunities, that you'll understand how your business is built, how you can optimize that, and at the end of the day, investors will ask you all these questions. So don't get too excited with the product, have someone who knows something about numbers on your team. And nowadays, you're lucky because there are so many tools that are free, including Power BI and others that you can use on a daily basis to then help your business grow in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Sigurds, Marina, do you want to add to this about finding investors, money, and what can we give as an advice to the audience?
I just want to mention that if you're a female founder, it's the way more different. And unfortunately, I have to mention this. It's not worse, it's not better, it's different. And first of all, we with Sigurds are working in a very specific industry, which is not so big, for example, as fintech or sustainable tech. So basically, if we count the number of investors, this is going to be different from another industries. And the second is that if you have an extraordinary, let's say, life situation, it raises the questions like why, if you're a successful doctor, you want to build a business. And the second point is that you're female. At some point, you will have family. You will have some other interests. So how I can prove that you're gonna do your job properly? And this is not basically question to me as to a girl, but as to my skills, how I can lead the company. So basically, investors are very different, and it's okay that they trying to understand how you can rely on you. And the only one thing is that if you're young and future female founder, you don't have to be, you have to be aware, but you don't have to be scared. It's the beautiful reality which we can change. So everyone who has idea, try to work on this idea and talk to investor from the day zero, as was mentioned previously, because experience can be different, but in general, it's amazing. And it's beautiful to make product, to make a startup, and to be innovator, women innovator.
Thank you, Marina. Sigurds, what's your experience?
Well, so similar as Marina and Jānis mentioned. So I'd say that basically there are different investors and different, let's say, humans. So you will have good meetings, bad meetings, so forth and so on. But my only advice, and let's say I'm thinking this with me all the time, is that the saying, I think it's by Paul Graham from Y Combinator, so a famous accelerator in the US. And he said that investors invest in lines, not dots. Meaning that if you want, for example, you know an investor you would like to get at some point money from, meet them as soon as possible and keep them in the loop. And what would basically happen is that you will develop a relationship, so to speak, a professional one, and the investor will see that how you're progressing, even though initially you just have an idea, then maybe in a couple of months you'll already have some traction. After a couple of months, maybe you'll have already, I don't know, prototype, whatever. And yeah, and then basically after these couple of months, maybe a year, the investors say, okay, this one's for real. This one doesn't die actually. So maybe you will be lucky, because all of the investors we actually found, most of them, yeah, were basically where we had a relationship with them already beforehand, quite some time.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And well, this one doesn't die, or this one doesn't stop at obstacles. So if we think about obstacles, definitely there will be some on the way of an entrepreneur. Do you think students can prepare in some way for these obstacles? Maybe you have the biggest obstacle that you had that you can describe here, or let's kind of get the obstacles out of the way or in the conversation.
I do have one small idea, how you can provide opportunity for yourself to develop at least your idea. So if you're a student, either you're not a student, find the environment, people with who you feel safe to share ideas. And the Riga Girls community for this purpose is amazing community, because we do have different programs, we do have different workshops, we empower practically and theoretically. And actually I am the very straight example of this, because from the first point I started to organize workshops, I started to do different activities, and then I figured out what actually I have to do to develop my skills in industry and found the startup. So find the community, find people to feel safe, and then you will be feeling safe even if it's not safe at all.
Wow, this is very deep. Thank you, Marina. Your experience, Jānis?
So difficulties meaning building the startup?
Obstacles in, becoming an entrepreneur, building a startup.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll then focus on what happens next. I mean, let's assume you have an idea, you have the company, what to expect, and what will be the biggest challenges. So one of the challenges that you definitely should focus on is getting your so-called ICP right, ideal client profile or product market fit. Focus on that a lot, because the bigger the company grows, the more expensive the mistakes are if you are not offering the right solution for the right buyers. That would be one thing, and it's much more difficult in real life than it actually sounds. And there is no specific way you can go to immediately fix that problem. You have to go multiple ways to narrow in and find who your customer is. That's on one hand. But on the other hand, it's the team, actually, because every company is essentially a contract between people coming together for a bigger vision, and make sure that the team that you have share the same passion and vision that you have, because again, as the company grows, it's much more important to have everyone on the same wave, because when difficulties will come, if you're on the same wave, it will be easier to get over. And also think in advance how different people can grow in your companies, because you as a co-founder, it's a one story for you, but those joining the company, they want to see how they can grow professionally. So spend some time, think about how you can provide them this route to success on their lives as well. So you need to balance that. So externally, therefore, it's the product market fit. Internally, it's the team management.
Okay, so community, product market fit, and team. Sigvard, your input on the obstacles.
I would say in terms of obstacles, so there will be many. I mean, there will be many obstacles. I know it's speaking generics in this case, but the only way how to prepare that is just support system. I would say that would be the most crucial part, because even the best plan will, at some point, will have obstacles and have failures, big ones, small ones. And I would say the most important thing is just having the desire and actually the passion. So if you strongly believe that your idea or your innovation, your product, whatever, is the thing that it should be in the world, then just do it, right? I mean, it sounds obvious, but in reality, of course, it's not that simple. But if you strip everything down to the most core principle, is that do you want to do this or not, right? And if you want, then you don't care what others think or how it will affect you and so far and so on to some extent. So yeah, I would say just be yourself and go for it.
Good words, but we're not ending yet. We still have 6 minutes. So Marina mentioned this community and support, and you also mentioned support system. Do you have a person in your life who could you call it a teacher, a mentor, someone whom kind of you can talk to when you need to make an important decision or take next steps? So mentors, teachers, what's the situation? Do you recommend them?
In my case, definitely, because I mean, I usually say I have a support team, so to speak, because so I have, let's say, individuals where I know they have excelled in that particular area, or they have gone through a similar situation, and I feel comfortable enough to actually reaching out to them and say, hey, I'm facing this. How did you actually deal with this, and so forth and so on? And I would say this is a very crucial part, because not to be afraid to be asking for help and sharing actually with your close ones or your support network, to actually saying, hey, I'm struggling with this. It can be from business to personal life to, I don't know, innovation-wise, product-wise, whatever, right? Because again, in the startup world, you will have millions of problems in the end of the day. So one cannot do anything in that. So one is not an army or something like that, basically. So I'd say definitely use as much, or try to have your support system or find it as soon as possible.
Right.
This is a surprise that on this stage there are 2 mentors of mine, Anna and Sigurd. And actually I started, I would like just to wish that the best mentor who you can have is inside yourself, because if you don't have mentor inside yourself, the help of other people won't really help you, because if you don't have a supportive person in yourself, it's gonna be complicated to find people outside. And I started my road with my best friend Alina Karpeltseva, who is actually also Riga Tech Growth co-founder, and it was only one friend who was supporting me, and for now I do have more than 18 friends, at least at Riga Tech Growth community, and a lot of different people who are mentoring and supporting. So mentors should be inside yourself and outside yourself. Just share your ideas, ask for attention, and maybe you will get advice and see what is working for you best.
All right. Jānis?
Yeah, well, I totally agree that you need mentors. I do have mentors with whom I consult, and that help me to make important business decisions. But there is one more thing I want to mention here, which is actually very important. You need to have a support in your family. So if you have the significant other, whomever that is, you need to make sure that they understand your business goals and where you want to land, because startup often means that you have to have no vacation, no holidays, nothing, because, well, you have to go through some struggling periods. And it's super important that you're supported at home, that they understand this. And startup means it's not just like a 100-meter sprint, right? It can take years, 5, 7, 10 more. This is all about building the company. So make sure your partners support your ideas and that they are with you. And there's a hint how you can do that. You can offer them some percentage of the revenue or the profit that you'll get at the end of it to motivate them. Nice. That works perfectly.
Why did you say this? For now, we have to think.
Yeah, but I totally agree about the support from the family and your significant other. All right, so last 2 minutes left. What is the best advice that you have ever received regarding being an entrepreneur? Or you can also give your best advice. One for each. Who wants to go first?
Well.
My advice would be dream less and do more. Just do everything and something will be exploding as the best idea of your life. And this road is complicated, but it's extremely exciting. And this is time of your life. So validate your idea, find market fit, find great mentors which are actually around you, or you just can find in social network, and yeah, dream big.
Thank you.
Okay, so so there have been many advices, a lot of them, but at its core, all of them go back to actually one of my favorite quotes is by Richard Branson, who said, "Screw it, let's do it."
All right, so another one for let's do it. All right, Jānis?
Well, I could recommend you to stay hungry, in a sense that if you are staying hungry, your brain will act better, you'll not feel into a false sense of success. By staying hungry, you'll really be able to focus on your big goal and not stop in the middle.
Marina, you want to add?
And doubt everything. What people say you, what you feel, what you think, everything, what you have around your startup, your product, doubt everything and ask questions to yourself.
Ask questions. Good. And I will finish off by saying, have courage, get mentors, and just go for your idea. Thank you. Thank you to the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck.